To escape my girlfriend who had ties to both the underworld and the law, I chose to fake my death and flee abroad from the harbor. She even held a grand funeral for me. She even married my ashes afterward. A year later, I was having fun in a bar with 8 young models. But the moment I looked up, I saw a cold gaze from a woman in the world. My Nanxiao was stunned for a full 30 seconds. Then a cruel smile appeared at the corner of her mouth. She downed her drink in one go, then leaped from the upper floor, supported only by the railing. But once she landed, I was nowhere to be seen. All she saw was a text message I sent. "You got the wrong person. I'm not your ex-boyfriend." On the other side, I was panicking like crazy. How did I end up running into Jiu Wanqing again? Crap. I didn't have time to think. I ran through 5 streets. Only when I was far enough from the bar did I stop by the roadside to hail a taxi. Luckily, an empty taxi pulled over. I was just about to get in when someone pulled me from behind. I was far too familiar with the perfume she was wearing. I didn't dare resist, because I knew how crazy this woman was. Jiu Wanqing dragged me to the nearest hotel. Once in the room, she locked the door behind us. She looked at me coldly. "Why did you run?" I didn't dare move. My lips parted slightly. Seeing I didn't answer, she pulled out a gun. She lightly pushed it against my forehead. "Speak now. If you wait till I shoot, it'll be too late." I forced myself to calm down, but my voice still trembled a little. I didn't run. I just wanted to go home. Jiu Wanqing let out a furious laugh at that answer. Her eyes turned red as she stared at me. "You should know what happens to people who lie to me. I'll ask you again. Why did you break up with me?" I glanced at her. I said, "The letter I left you a year ago already made things very clear. I couldn't stand your random killing. You wish you could kill every woman around me. Only then would you be satisfied. We already broke up. Let me go." With every word I said, Jiu Wanqing's hand holding the gun trembled. Then came a shout. "Jiang Chun, who told you I agreed to break up? If you dare say the word break up again, believe it or not, I'll shoot you right now." I nodded. "I believe you." How could I not? Once I stopped saying things she didn't want to hear. The fire of rage inside Jiu Wanqing finally died down. Then she turned around. Seeing that, I quickly moved around her and ran to the door. Just as I was about to unlock it, bang, a loud sound exploded right next to my ear. My ears almost went deaf from the shock. The bullet hole in the door reminded me. This wasn't just my imagination. Jiu Wanqing had lost her mind. She really dared to pull the trigger. My legs gave out and I collapsed to the ground. The tall woman walked toward me from behind. She looked at my devastated expression and smiled. "Tell me, are you faster? Or is my gun faster?" I couldn't take this mental torture anymore. No matter what happens today, I cannot be involved with this lunatic any longer, or I'll never escape in the future. Fine, let me die. I steeled myself completely. I stared at Jiu Wanqing without fear. Either kill me, or let me go. That statement almost drove her insane. A cruel smile crept across Jiu Wanqing's face. Her teeth clenched so hard they cracked. "Fine, I'll kill you right now." As soon as she said it, she used all her strength to pin me to the bed. Late at night, Jiu Wanqing sat on the sofa. My thoughts began to drift. As the daughter born when Mr. Jiu was already 60, Jiu Wanqing had been spoiled all her life. But from a young age, she showed exceptional talent. She held a gun at age 3, was sent to Onguo for training at 6, and became a sharpshooter at 8. She dealt with gangs all year round. By 14, she took over Ambo Shilin. She met me 2 years ago. At that time, she was chasing the leader of a rival gang. After killing several people, she leaned in an alley waiting for her men. That was when I, just reaching adulthood, was also being chased. Without even looking, I ran straight ahead and jumped into a trash bin, even pulling the lid over myself. 5 burly foreign men gave chase, and in broken English asked Jiu Wanqing, "Have you seen a boy?" Jiu Wanqing leaned against the wall, looking down at her blood-stained shoulder. Too lazy to respond as the men searched the alley. They finally stopped in front of the trash bin, gave it a kick, and all 5 of them looked delighted. The most aggressive one opened the lid and dragged me out. They were about to take me away. I was shaking all over. Suddenly, I looked toward Jiu Wanqing and begged her in Chinese to help me. Jiu Wanqing said indifferently, "Help you? I don't do charity work. I bit my lip and said, as long as you help me, I'll agree to anything. Deal. Ji Wanqing gave a sly smile. Actually, from the moment she first saw me, she had already decided to save me. She quickly drew her gun and shot the man between the eyes. Bang, blood splattered all over my face. I didn't even wipe it off. I staggered and ran toward Ji Wanqing. The remaining men finally reacted. They raised their guns and fired. Ji Wanqing fired 4 shots in return. Bang, 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 bang. 4 bodies fell one after another. Halfway through running, my legs gave out. I collapsed to my knees. Ji Wanqing took me to a black sedan parked at the alley's entrance. Her subordinate quickly opened the car door. Once the engine started, the subordinate named Will secretly glanced at me through the rearview mirror. Ji Wanqing's cold eyes made him look away immediately. Will quickly averted his gaze in fear. No wonder he was curious. The boss was already 19 and still a virgin, suddenly bringing back a handsome young guy. Who wouldn't be curious? In the back seat, my heart was pounding. This woman didn't seem easy to deal with. Would she really keep her word? What if she wouldn't let me go? Would calling the police in F country even help? When those 5 men were chasing me earlier, I had already called the cops, but my phone was smashed to pieces. The car stopped in front of a suburban villa. Ji Wanqing told Will, "Get lost. Don't come looking for me the next few days." Will was stunned for a moment before reacting. The boss is finally going to get some. But how many days is a few days? Inside the villa, Ji Wanqing took me to the bedroom. "Shower yourself. Or should I help?" "I'll do it myself." My voice changed from nervousness. Ji Wanqing nodded, closed the door, and quickly took a shower in the room next door. She didn't dare go far, afraid I'd run away. If I dared to escape, she wouldn't mind using force. I behaved very well in the bathroom, because I had already realized this place was too remote. I couldn't escape. Even if I got out of the villa, I'd be caught again very quickly. Worse, that woman had a gun. Rather than provoke her and risk my life, I'd better go along with her, wait until she lets her guard down, then find a chance to escape. There was a knock at the door, still not done. Ji Wanqing's impatient voice came from outside. "Almost done." I hurriedly put on the bathrobe, just stepped out of the bathroom, and Ji Wanqing couldn't hold back any longer. She dragged me onto the bed in one pull. When her cold lips touched mine, both of us froze. That was our first kiss. The next day at noon, I woke up. I carefully tried to move away, but I was suddenly pulled back. "Where are you going?" Her just-woken voice was husky and sexy. I nervously swallowed hard. "I have something I need to deal with." Ji Wanqing chuckled with her eyes still closed. "You're clever. Very clever indeed." I was testing her limits, trying to find a chance to escape. Unfortunately, she had no intention of letting me go. She had made up her mind last night. It was love at first sight for her. Whether it was my face or who I was, she had decided I was hers. I stayed silent. My palms were sweaty with cold sweat. So, she really had no plans to let me go. Ji Wanqing suddenly opened her eyes and looked at me. "Tell me your name first." I calmed down a bit. I didn't hide it. "Jiangsheng." After hearing my name, Ji Wanqing sat up in bed and repeated my name over and over again, as if she wanted to engrave it into her bones. Each time she said it, my heart sank a little deeper. This woman clearly wanted to keep me by her side forever. Ji Wanqing got out of bed, got dressed, then turned to me and said, "The clothes on the knitstand are new. After breakfast, I'll drive you back." She finished speaking and headed downstairs. After she left, I breathed a sigh of relief, picked up the clothes, and got dressed. Then I went downstairs and saw her frying eggs in the kitchen. I sat down at the dining table, my head filled with thoughts about returning to school and immediately buying a plane ticket back home. Ji Wanqing came over with milk and breakfast. "Come eat." I obediently began eating, noticing she didn't say much, but her restraint was obvious. She was clearly holding herself back. That breakfast made me feel like I was sitting on pins and needles. Anyone would lose their appetite being stared at like that, but I still finished eating. Ji Wanqing got up and walked out. She wasn't clueless about me. She just knew I was scared of her. If she got any closer, I might pass out from fear. The more Ji Wanqing thought about it, the more annoyed she got. In her whole life, she had never met a man who rejected her like this. I was the first one. I stayed silent the whole way. Ji Wanqing's face looked terrifyingly grim. Did this man really hate her that much? He wouldn't even speak a word. From yesterday until now, Besides her initiating conversation, I had only said two things. One was asking for help, the other was probing. The sports car left the villa district. Ji Wanqing asked coldly, "Where to?" "How long?" I lowered my eyes, suppressing my complicated emotions. "Back to school first. It ends tomorrow morning." Hearing that, Ji Wanqing gripped the steering wheel and objected immediately. "I'll pick you up at 7 tonight." I forced myself to stay calm. "I'll come back by myself at 7. You go take care of your things." Ji Wanqing suddenly slammed on the brakes. "See you tonight." "You sure about that? Think clearly about what happens if you lie to me." My heart clenched. Even though she had been gentle since yesterday, I was still scared. I looked her in the eyes. "I'm sure." But in my mind, I was planning to escape as soon as I got to school, book the earliest flight home, and never return to F country again. Ji Wanqing gave me a long, deep look, then silently restarted the car. We didn't say a word. Until we reached the school gate, I looked at the familiar campus, fighting back excitement. "Can I get out now?" Ji Wanqing stared at me intently. "Nothing else you want to say?" I knew exactly what she was waiting for. She was waiting for me to admit I was going to escape. I didn't escape yesterday only because I didn't have the chance. Today, I had to take it. I smiled at her. "I'll tell you tonight." Ji Wanqing turned her face away and nodded slightly. With her permission, I almost jumped in joy. I opened the car door, pretending to be calm, and walked step by step away from this dangerous woman. Just as I neared the school gate, a sudden shout came from behind me. I had to turn around. Across the street, I saw Ji Wanqing leaning against her sports car. Her voice rang out clearly. "Jiang Cheng, my name is Ji Wanqing." Then she smiled at me. That smile was blindingly bright. I waved back, then quickly turned and walked into the academy. But Ji Wanqing took out her phone and made a call. Her voice was icy cold. "Lockdown Moss Academy. I was an international student. Yesterday, I had just attended the graduation party. Back at the dorm, I hurried to gather my documents, stuffing my passport and diploma into my bag. I turned on my backup phone and booked the earliest flight. I didn't even have time to grab my daily items. I just grabbed my bag and ran out. But I bumped into a cleaning lady at the door. 15 minutes later, a janitor slowly pushed a trash cart out of the academy. It was me in disguise. The academy was surrounded by men in black. Some were Asian, others Western. Returning students were terrified, fearing some kind of terrorist attack. My heart pounded as I pushed the cart. Luckily, I had paid for the janitor uniform. Otherwise, I'd definitely be caught. I kept my head low, a mask covering half my face. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw one of the men in black, holding a photo of me while I was sleeping. A chill ran down my spine. Fortunately, they only glanced at me briefly. No one came to question me. I ran with the trash cart for half an hour. Finally, I leaned against a wall, gasping for breath. I quickly dug through my backpack, ready to head to the airport. But when I turned my head, I froze. Ji Wanqing was standing not far away, staring at me coldly. "See you tonight, Jiang Cheng. You're really good at lying." Her voice was icy. I turned and ran. My heart was pounding out of my chest. But I hadn't gone far before Ji Wanqing grabbed my wrist. She looked at me seriously and said, "Don't leave me. I like you." I was so stunned I couldn't speak. "I don't like you." Ji Wanqing hugged me. "I can wait until you do." As the words left her mouth, several men in black began closing in on me. In the end, I was taken back to the villa. From then on, Ji Wanqing completely changed. She personally prepared 3 meals a day. She washed my clothes herself. No matter how late it was, she always came home to me. She gave me freedom, but always had someone follow me from afar. She treated me with care. Anything I glanced at would appear in front of me the very next second. Over the past 3 months, Ji Wanqing never once lost her temper. Even when she knew I was lying, she never exposed me. It was her first time being in love. She just wanted to cherish it. As long as I didn't leave, nothing else mattered. 2 a.m. Ji Wanqing still hadn't come home. I tossed and turned in bed, unable to sleep. In the past 6 months, this was the first time she'd come home so late. My mind was filled with endless thoughts. Did something happen? Did she find someone new? Even though these possibilities meant I could escape, I couldn't feel happy at all. Barefoot, I walked to the window and suddenly realized I might have fallen for her. No. I thought of the moment she saved me. Thought of the sound of her heartbeat when she held me. Thought of the little moments we shared over the past 6 months. cooking, watching TV, and stargazing. Just then, a sports car drove into the courtyard. I rushed downstairs and saw Ji Wanqing covered in blood. A doctor was removing a bullet from her. Her condition was critical. Her vital signs were growing weaker and weaker. I knelt by the sofa, gripping her hand tightly. Ji Wanqing, I like you. As long as you live, I'll marry you. 2 minutes later, Ji Wanqing's condition improved miraculously. The doctor continued the surgery, and Qin Feng quietly led the others. Outside the door, 3 days later, she woke up in my arms. Were those words true? I smiled and nodded. I like you. It's true. From that day on, our relationship quickly deepened. Ji Wanqing wanted to keep me in her pocket every day. She was reluctant to part with me every time she left. That day, right after she left, I got a call from my high school classmate Shen Miao. She was holding an art exhibition in F country and wanted my help. I remembered how Shen Miao once took me to the hospital when I fainted, so I gladly agreed. I endured the soreness in my legs and got up, choosing a suit that Ji Wanqing had bought for me. The driver took me to the exhibition venue. Mr. Jiang, I'll wait here for you. Just as I got out of the car, I ran into Shen Miao. Her eyes lit up as she walked toward me. Jiang Cheng, let's eat first. I politely declined. I've already eaten. Let's go straight to the gallery. We entered the exhibition hall one after the other. The driver in the car frowned, hesitated, and made a call. On the other side, the mood was completely different. Back at the villa, Ji Wanqing lounged lazily on the sofa, coldly staring at the man kneeling before her. How do you want to die? The man banged his head on the floor desperately. Please spare my wife and kids. Do whatever you want with me. The underlings around them sneered with contempt. Ji Wanqing suddenly smiled and shot the man in the shoulder. Then she pressed the gun against his head. Any other requests? Speak now. Turns out, this man had threatened one of Ji Wanqing's men on her own and wiped out his entire family. Now he dared to come begging for mercy. Ji Wanqing had strict rules for her subordinates. No human trafficking, no drugs, and never mess with military or police. Suddenly, a woman and child came running down the stairs. The child rushed toward her injured father. Bang, bang, 2 gunshots rang out. The mother and child collapsed in a pool of blood. The man opened his mouth in despair, but no sound came out. Ji Wanqing stood up and ordered a subordinate nearby, don't let him die too easily. Then turned and walked away. As soon as she got in the car, the driver's call came in. Seeing the caller ID, Ji Wanqing's fingers trembled slightly. After the call, Ji Wanqing's eyes were bloodshot. Meanwhile, at the gallery, I looked at the time. Senior, I'll head back now. I'll finish the changes when I'm back. Shen Miao glanced at the time. Let's have dinner tonight. I waved and declined. No need. I'm not cold. Shen Miao unwillingly probed. Junior, do you have a girlfriend? I nodded. Yes, I have a girlfriend. I admitted it openly. It made Shen Miao both angry and frustrated. She had liked me since high school, but never confessed. Afraid we couldn't even stay friends. For 3 years she tried contacting me, always being ignored. Now she finally had the courage to come after me. And I already had a girlfriend. Seeing Shen Miao frozen in place, I turned and walked away without looking back. Her gaze was so intense. Even someone as dense as me could feel it. Better to have someone else deliver the message. Let's not see each other again. Shen Miao chased after me. Jiang Sheng, let me walk you. Instead, I walked even faster. When I saw the driver's car, I started running. But I slipped and almost fell. Shen Miao caught my arm. I quickly pulled away. Thank you, senior. Suddenly, a gunshot rang out. Blood gushed from Shen Miao's hand. She was sweating from the pain, but gritted her teeth silently. I tried to pull her to safety. But the next second, I was pulled into a familiar embrace. I looked up to see Ji Wanqing holding a pistol. She fired 5 more shots. Ji Wanqing, stop shooting. I grabbed the gun, trembling, and said. The crazed woman said coldly, step aside. I'll cripple her hand. I quickly tried to calm her. Let's go home, okay? Let's go right now. Ji Wanqing held back her anger, put the gun down, and pulled me toward the sports car. Shen Miao's hands were covered in blood. She yelled, Jiang Sheng, she doesn't deserve you. She's a devil. Ji Wanqing turned and aimed her gun again. I quickly shoved her aside, causing the bullet to miss. Ji Wanqing grabbed my wrist and shoved me into the sports car. Amidst the roar of the engine, the car sped back to the villa. Why did you save her? Ji Wanqing asked with bloodshot eyes. I sat up and glared at her. She just helped me stay upright. And you were going to cripple her. You were going to kill her. Are you insane? Ji Wanqing's face turned icy cold. Anyone who touches my man must die. I'll deal with her now. She pulled out her phone as she spoke. Seeing this, I rushed to the balcony, ready to jump. Ji Wanqing panicked and grabbed me. Her voice trembled. Don't. Is she really worth your life? I shook my head. I just couldn't bear to see innocent people hurt because of you. I promise I won't see her again. Ji Wanqing left in silence. That night, I passed out with a high fever. Outside the emergency room, when the doctor wheeled me out after I woke up, Ji Wanqing staggered forward, grabbing my hand tightly, refusing to let go. The next morning, I opened my eyes to see Ji Wanqing's red, swollen eyes. Her voice was hoarse as she asked, Are you still in pain? Should I call the doctor? Are you hungry or thirsty? I gently held her hand. You asked so many things at once. I don't even know which to answer first. Ji Wanqing lowered her head. It's my fault. I'm sorry. I knew she was apologizing for what had happened earlier, but that apology wasn't from me. Shen Miao had only helped me stay on my feet, yet Ji Wanqing had fired 6 shots at her. That apology should have gone to Shen Miao. The room fell silent until the doctor came for rounds. Ji Wanqing stood up and left. In the hallway, Will brought food over. From afar, he saw the lonely figure of the boss. His heart ached. If you love someone, you have to respect them. He said this, put down the food, and quietly left. Ji Wanqing stood still. She understood the logic, but when it came to me, she just couldn't control herself. Ji Wanqing carried the food back to the ward. The next day at noon, while Ji Wanqing was handling the discharge papers, Shen Miao walked into the room. Her left hand was wrapped in bandages, but she looked much better than before. Shen Miao walked in, and I looked at her in surprise. Quickly sitting up, Senior, why are you here? I'm sorry. Please leave now. My girlfriend will be back soon. Shen Miao felt a sting in her heart. She gave a bitter smile and said, No need to apologize. I've never blamed you. She looked at me seriously. Jiangsheng, I like you. Do you really not like me at all? There wasn't a trace of hesitation on my face. Shen Miao turned and walked toward the door. She didn't want to cry in front of me. As she opened the door, my voice came from behind. Senior, forget about me. Tears finally fell from Shen Miao's eyes. She left without looking back. In the hallway, Will and Qin Feng were desperately trying to hold back Ji Wanqing. Calm down, Qin Feng shouted angrily at Will. What kind of stupid idea was that? Will looked wrong too. He had just wanted Shen Miao to meet me, so Ji Wanqing would get jealous. He never expected that when Ji Wanqing found out, she'd punch him straight away. Boss, just wait a little longer. Shen Miao is about to come out, but Ji Wanqing wouldn't listen at all. I can't wait, she said coldly and shook them off. She ran toward the hospital room without looking back. Her heart was in chaos. Would Shen Miao touch Jiangsheng? Would she talk bad about her? Would they run into each other halfway? And just like that, she bumped into Shen Miao coming from the opposite direction. The two passed each other. Neither said a word. Inside the room, I was about to get up to go to the bathroom. Suddenly, there was a loud bang. The door was slammed open. Ji Wanqing stormed in. I was stunned at first. Then I realized something must have happened to her. Thankfully, I didn't hear any gunshots this time. Ji Wanqing held me tightly, only calming slightly after feeling my warmth. But it still wasn't enough. She grabbed my wrist and kissed me fiercely by the window. I pushed her away with all my strength. The kiss lasted nearly 20 minutes. Ji Wanqing buried her head on my shoulder, kissing my neck. I gently touched her head, softly said, You can let go now. I need to go to the bathroom. Ji Wanqing lifted her head. I'll go with you. I quickly refused. No. I'll go by myself. Ji Wanqing finally let go. Okay, I'll wait for you. I walked out of the room. I felt inexplicably irritated. I grew up surrounded by gentle, polite people. Suddenly meeting such a domineering woman was hard to adapt to. Just then, an apple rolled to my feet. I bent down and picked it up. A girl around 16 or 17 came running over. Her clothes were tattered. Her face was bruised and battered. She looked anxiously at the apple in my hand. I handed it to her. She was just about to take it when a passing medical worker bumped into her. Her hand accidentally touched mine. We were both stunned. She quickly took the apple back. Blushing, she ran away. I didn't think much of it. I turned and went to the bathroom. When I came out, I saw a rainbow hanging outside the window. My mood suddenly lifted. I followed the stairs to the rooftop, wanting to enjoy the view. Just as I reached the rooftop door, I heard muffled sounds from inside. Compelled by curiosity, I opened the door slightly and saw a shocking scene. Ji Wanqing was stepping harshly on the girl's hand with a leather sole. Her voice was cold. "How dare you touch my man? You've got guts." Qin Feng and Will stood aside. Their faces grim, but they didn't dare step in. Lying on the ground was the same girl from earlier. She was covered in injuries, but didn't make a sound, lying still as if resigned. Ji Wanqing raised her foot and kicked the girl's head. Blood instantly gushed out. Seeing that she was about to strike again, Qin Feng and Will hurried to hold her back. "Boss, she's mute. Her mother is seriously ill and hospitalized. She came to work to pay for medical expenses, but she didn't expect to provoke Ji Wanqing today. Boss, your brother-in-law must be looking for you." Qin Feng's words made Ji Wanqing calm down a bit. She coldly glanced at the girl on the ground, then turned to leave. When her footsteps faded away, I stepped out from behind the trash can. I pushed open the rooftop door and saw the girl lying on the ground. Her eyes were vacant, staring at the sky, as if asking why not. Just beat me to death. Living was too exhausting for her. I crouched down and pulled out a bank card from my clothes. "I'm sorry for dragging you into this. This card has no password. Take it to see a doctor." She was covered in blood. She struggled to open her eyes, wiping them with her uninjured hand. She looked up at me but didn't speak. I grew anxious, worried Ji Wanqing would come looking for me if I took too long. I pulled her hand over forcefully and stuffed the card into her palm. "I'm truly sorry." I turned to leave right after. Just as I lifted my foot, her cold hand grabbed my ankle. I looked down, thinking she was going to hit me to vent. But to my surprise, she looked up and smiled. It was a pure and joyful smile. I couldn't help but smile too. When she let go of my hand, I quickly ran back through the rooftop door. The girl slowly got up, held up the bank card, and smiled at the rainbow. "The rainbow is beautiful, but she's not worthy of it." In the hospital room, Ji Wanqing looked out the window. "The rainbow went to the south side earlier to find me. The nurse said no one was there. Is Jiangshun hiding from her?" She walked to the window and made a call. The phone rang for a long time before it connected. "Big sis," the voice on the other end sounded surprised. "You rarely call me. Are you in trouble?" Ji Wanqing suppressed the irritation in her heart. This was the first time in years she had reached out to her family on her own. Ji Wanqing usually rarely answered their calls. If she answered to out of 10, it was already rare. "Is that expert from country F you mentioned still around? Have him come see me tomorrow." Jiu Yanran on the other end was stunned for a moment. "He is. I'll arrange it tomorrow." "Did something happen? Do you want me to come check on you?" Just then, I pushed the door open. Sweat mixed with blood was on my nose, like I had run back in a hurry. "Ji Wanqing," she said, "no need," and hung up the call. She took out a tissue and gently wiped my sweat. "Why were you running so fast? I'll always wait for you." I pretended not to hear the meaning behind her words. "It won't happen again." After wiping my sweat, Ji Wanqing gently caressed my face. "Promise me you won't run away again, okay?" I was too nervous to answer. Did Ji Wanqing already find out that I witnessed her brutal actions on the rooftop? I had made up my mind to leave. I couldn't understand her obsession and cruelty. Even though I loved her, I couldn't accept her hurting innocent people. I could stop her once or twice. But what about when I wasn't around? I didn't dare show myself on the rooftop earlier because I was afraid if I appeared, that girl might not survive. With Ji Wanqing's twisted possessiveness, she could completely keep me from seeing any other woman for life. But that's not what I wanted. I clearly already kept my distance from women. Yet I was still doubted and suspected. I decided to comply. Ji Wanqing saw me staying silent, and her expression darkened. What was Jiang Cheng thinking? Was he thinking of another woman, or thinking about leaving her? Anger surged in her chest, but reason reminded her not to create conflict again. Otherwise, she would only push Jiang Cheng further away. But Ji Wanqing's extreme possessiveness, how could she possibly stay calm? She pulled me into her arms and said, "You love me. You won't leave me." I didn't want to say it, but seeing the desire in her eyes, I still whispered, "I love you. I won't leave you. But these words made Ji Wanqing let out a cold laugh. No. You used to say I love you with eyes full of affection. Now it's like you're completing a task. I saw her terrifying smile and panicked, trying to push her hands away. Ji Wanqing immediately pulled out her phone. Will, clear this floor. No one is allowed to disturb us. Will on the other end instantly understood. He quickly arranged for the floor to be cleared. Before I could react, I was pressed against the wall. Ji Wanqing didn't respect my wishes at all. She completely ignored my feelings. I was too naive. Terribly wrong. Ji Wanqing wasn't feeling good either. The man she loved not only rejected her emotionally, but also physically resisted her. Ji Wanqing leaned close to my ear. Her breath hot as she threatened, if you resist again, I'll make sure you can't get out of bed for 3 days. That did the trick. I didn't dare move. In my heart, I swore I would escape from her. Any remaining affection disappeared completely. It wasn't until late at night that Ji Wanqing helped clean me up. She looked at me sleeping on the bed. In my dreams I mumbled, I love you. I want you. Clearly tormented into nightmares by her. This relationship was a complete mess. Even her niece had walked in. She couldn't even control herself. Jiangsheng must hate her even more now. Tomorrow, when Jiangsheng wakes up, she must have a serious talk. Talk about his condition. Talk about whether he's willing to accept treatment. As long as Jiangsheng doesn't leave, she's willing to change anything. Whatever Jiangsheng likes, she become that. If she can't, she pretend. I'll pretend for a lifetime. If Jiangsheng doesn't like her killing, she try not to kill. As long as Jiangsheng doesn't leave. At 4 a.m., the piercing sound of the phone suddenly rang out. I, still in bed, covered my ears in annoyance. I kicked the woman holding me. Ji Wanqing got up to answer the call. One hand gently covered my ear. Boss, the headquarters was attacked by the Black Hand. Will shouted anxiously on the other end of the line. Ji Wanqing clenched her phone tightly, but lowered her voice and said, and fewer people. I'll return to Inguo in half an hour. She hung up after speaking. She turned to look at me sleeping soundly. She hesitated whether to bring me along, but thinking of the danger ahead, she gave up on that thought. Ji Wanqing quietly got out of bed. She retrieved a gun from the safe. After everything was ready, she leaned down and stared at me. She gently kissed my swollen lips, then turned and left. Downstairs, the driver Wenling was sleeping in the car. Ji Wanqing knocked to wake him up and told him to watch Jiangsheng closely, fulfill all his requests. Then he drove off. No one knew I had already woken up long ago. Will's loud voice made me hear their entire conversation. I lifted the carpet, took out the hidden passport and documents. It was my escape plan prepared when I moved in. Now is the best chance to run. I quickly changed into a black tracksuit. I left a short breakup letter on the bedside, accusing Ji Wanqing of violence and pathological possessiveness, telling her not to look for me while it was still dark. I had to seize the moment and flee. Otherwise, once Ji Wanqing sends more men, there will be no more chances. Now, I just need to find a way to shake off Wenling, the guard. I carefully left the letter, then slipped out the door in the dark, tiptoed downstairs. I quietly crept into the kitchen. I pushed open the window and jumped out. My legs went weak, and I almost fell. I gritted my teeth and forced myself to stand. I turned around and crawled toward the dog hole. This dog hole was left by the hound Ji Wanqing raised back then. That fierce dog was as violent as its owner. It once almost attacked me. It was shot dead by Ji Wanqing herself. Who knew that today this dog hole would become my escape route? After escaping the villa, I saw a black sedan parked not far away. 7 or 8 men in black were playing cards. All were Ji Wanqing's men. Just as I was in despair, the leader's phone rang. They packed up and got in their cars. I seized the moment and dashed out. The light rain covered my noise. I ran frantically along the path. Tears mixed with rain streamed down. I couldn't tell if it was joy or sorrow. When I reached the road, dawn had broken. The road was deserted. Suddenly, a van approached from behind. I risked it all. I stood in the middle of the road to stop it. If this wasn't Ji Wanqing's vehicle, I could finally run away freely. If not, I'd return to the cage. Luckily, it was a family of 3 in the car. When they heard I was heading to the airport, they kindly gave me a ride. Not until the plane took off did I truly feel relief. I finally escaped that suffocating place. The plane flew directly overseas. I looked out the window at the receding F5 and softly whispered goodbye. At the same moment, on a helicopter bound for the south, Ji Wanqing held her chest, her face pale. Will and Qin Feng looked at her with worry. Ji Wanqing pulled out her phone and dialed that familiar number. The helicopter hovered midair, but no one answered the call. Ji Wanqing sighed. She put the phone back into her pocket. Half a year later, ICU, in Guo Hospital. After being in a coma for 6 months, Ji Wanqing finally opened her eyes. The ward was filled with people. Will knelt on one knee by the bedside. This tough guy was crying like a child. Boss, you're finally awake. Will choked with emotion. In that fierce battle 6 months ago, Ji Wanqing was constantly distracted. Eventually, she was shot by the mafia's ambush. The doctors once declared that she might never wake up again. That's great. Qin Feng's eyes turned red too. If you didn't wake up, we'd have gone crazy. Ji Wanqing stared at Will and Qin Feng. With a hoarse voice, she asked, "Where's Jiangsheng? You didn't tell him I was injured, right?" The room went silent instantly. Will and Qin Feng avoided her gaze. They didn't dare look directly. Ji Wanqing suddenly propped herself up. Something happened to Jiangsheng. Xing Feng spoke. Xing Feng sighed. He took a piece of paper from the drawer and handed it over. Ji Wanqing's hand trembled. Half an hour later, she stared hard at that piece of paper. It was a breakup letter. Jiangsheng had left her, everyone out. Once everyone was gone, Ji Wanqing's tears fell onto the letter. She hated how ruthless I was, hated how heartless I was, hated that I didn't even break up face to face. At the moment she got shot, she was still thinking about me. But me, was I celebrating finally getting rid of her? Ji Wanqing raised the letter to her lips, then pressed it hard to her chest. She couldn't let go. This was the only thing Jiangsheng had left her. All right, Jiangsheng, run. I'll let you go. You don't want me, then I won't want you either. 1 month later, Ji Wanqing was discharged from the hospital. The subordinates were on edge. The current boss was even scarier than before. Standing next to her felt like standing in an ice cellar. Anyone who didn't know would think they had rheumatism. On Will's 23rd birthday, the head of the M Country Bay operations, she invited the brothers to celebrate at her nightclub. But the private room, which should have been lively, was eerily quiet. Ji Wanqing leaned lazily against the sofa. Under the dim lights, her profile was outlined in gold. She swirled her wine glass and casually said, "You guys go ahead and have fun." That sentence lifted the ban. The room immediately came alive. Monkey-like whoops and laughter filled the air. Suddenly, a scream broke the mood. "Let me go. I was forced to come here." Just then, Urwa suddenly lunged at Ji Wanqing. But the moment she touched her pant leg, she was kicked away. "Don't tell the manager. He'll beat me to death." Urwa curled up on the floor. But no one present was a fool. Ji Wanqing waved her hand in disgust, signaling Will to take the person away. While Will wasn't paying attention, Awa grabbed a wine glass and lunged toward Ji Wanqing. The wine splashed on her pants. The next second, the glass shattered on Awa's head. Blood instantly covered her face. Ji Wanqing trembled as she took out a neatly folded letter from her pocket. The moment she saw it soaked in wine, her eyes turned red. Her murderous aura surged. The letter looked like it would crumble on touch. Ji Wanqing's teeth were chattering. Xing Feng reacted the fastest, rushed to the bathroom, and brought back a hairdryer. He set it to the lowest setting and carefully handed it to Ji Wanqing. The scene became unbearably awkward. More than a dozen people sat on the sofa watching them. The boss was using a hairdryer to dry the breakup letter left by her ex. Everyone was all too familiar with that letter. The boss looked at it every single day, each time for over half a day, sometimes with red eyes. Half an hour later, Ji Wanqing finally finished blow-drying the letter. But when she opened it, the writing was so smudged it was unreadable. The temperature in the room instantly dropped to freezing. Ji Wanqing pulled out a handgun, aiming it at Iwa, who was trembling in pain. Will let go of her and stepped aside. Gunshots erupted in the room, one after another. They lasted for a full 10 minutes. When Ji Wanqing finally walked out, she staggered slightly, holding her chest carefully with both hands, as if protecting some treasure. Inside the room, Will sent away all the women. Frustrated, he lit a cigarette, Still no sign of brother-in-law. Boss doesn't allow us to search, but seeing him like this is unbearable. Drunk every single day, sleeping no more than 2 hours a night, and risking his life on missions. Not even using a gun anymore. The nightclub manager came in, and finally sighed in relief upon seeing I was shot to shreds. Will waved him off. Feed her to the dogs. The manager immediately dragged her out by the hair. In the villa, Ji Wanchin stared at the breakup letter, eyes red, and clutched her head in pain. Jiangsheng, you have to rewrite it. A few months later, Ji Wanchin finally found Jiangsheng's whereabouts. This man hid too well. In a remote town abroad, he never used his real identity, never showed up at exhibitions either. Now, he was finally returning to the empire. Ji Wanchin managed to locate him, thanks to a little informant spying on Shen Miaomiao. It turned out Jiangsheng had sent Shen Miaomiao a painting worth hundreds of millions, as compensation. If not for that painting, Ji Wanchin might never have found him. She sent people to thoroughly investigate Jiangsheng's background and discover that he returned home to go on a blind date. Enraged, Ji Wanchin smashed her study on the spot. She suppressed the urge to fly abroad and grab him immediately, and instead booked the earliest flight home to wait. She was determined to see for herself just what Jiangsheng was up to. Who's the fool brave enough to marry him? She was even more curious to see just how heartless this man truly was. Inside the hotel room, Ji Wanchin snapped out of her memories and back to reality. She walked toward the sleeping Jiangsheng on the bed. Even with Jiangsheng lying right there, her heart still felt empty. She had returned a few days earlier than Jiangsheng. Last night, while hanging out at a bar with 9 of her sisters, she heard Jiangsheng was also there. Ji Wanchin was overjoyed, but when she rushed over excitedly to find him, she saw the man she missed day and night, staring at a group of pole dancers. A whole group of them. Ji Wanchin couldn't believe her eyes. It wasn't until Jiangsheng turned and their eyes met that she had to accept the reality. She was absolutely furious. She had never been this angry in her life. What made it worse was Jiangsheng turned and ran the moment he saw her. Did she look like a ghost? Was she that scary? Or had she not been good enough to Jiangsheng? Ji Wanchin knelt on the bed, staring at the sleeping Jiangsheng. The more she looked, the angrier she got. Why should Jiangsheng get to sleep so peacefully? The next morning, I had just opened my eyes when a wave of soreness washed over me. Suddenly, my phone started ringing. I pulled it out and answered. Jiangsheng. Had a good time these past 2 days, he teased. A sleazy chuckle came from the other end of the line. My face darkened, and I glanced at the sleeping woman on the bed. Lowering my voice, I said, "Come get me from the hotel. The sooner the better." Yan Liang froze. Just yesterday, he had bet with Wei Yan that Ji Wanchin was probably Jiangsheng's ex, that they'd surely rekindle their romance this time. But judging from that tone, it sounded more like he'd been forced. "I'm on my way now." Yan Liang dropped the jokes and rushed out with his car keys. I had just hung up the phone and was about to get dressed. Suddenly, a hand pulled my shirt from behind. I was dragged back onto the bed. Ji Wanchin hovered over me, smiling slyly. "Why didn't you answer him? Didn't you enjoy yourself the past 2 days? You're crazy." I turned my face away. "Let me go. I have something to do. We'll talk another time." Ji Wanchin suddenly stood up. "You can leave after registering our marriage." "What?" I sat up abruptly. "There's no way I'm marrying you. This woman is terrifying, and I don't love her anymore. There's no way I'd agree to such a thing." Ji Wanchin lowered her eyes. Her voice was calm. "Jiangsheng, I'm not negotiating with you." I held back my tears, but I still couldn't stop them from falling. I whispered, "Ji Wanchin, it's all in the past. Let me go, and let yourself go too." Ji Wanchin let out a cold laugh. "You say it's over, and it is. I can't." "Jiangsheng, did you ever really love me? How can you let go so easily?" That question made my heart tremble. Maybe I loved her once, but that love wasn't pure. "You're just unwilling to accept it. Soon, you'll get over it." Ji Wanchin suddenly laughed hoarsely. "Jiangsheng, can't you tell? I can't live without you." As she finished, her trembling hand gently caressed my face. "Marry me, okay? Stay with me. I can't go on living. I miss you too much." I stayed silent. Ji Wanchin grabbed my hand, placing it over her chest. "Right here. It hurts so much. Please, help me." Suddenly, the phone rang. Ji Wanchin answered it first. "I'll send him back." She hung up right after and opened the chat history. Her expression grew darker. Who is Su Yanran? She suddenly grabbed my neck. Her eyes bloodshot. Are you planning to be with her? My face turned red from being choked. Tears welled up in my eyes. Only then did Ji Wanqing let go. She handed me the phone coldly. Tell her you have a girlfriend. I took the phone with trembling hands. Su Yanran is my landlord abroad. She's always been good to me. Before returning home this time, I originally planned that after going back, I'd agree to date her. But now, just as I dialed the number, Ji Wanqing snatched the phone and turned on speaker mode. Dear, are you coming back soon? Su Yanran's gentle voice came through the speaker. Ji Wanqing's expression turned terrifying. Su Yanran, I'm not going back abroad, I quickly said. Ji Wanqing pinched my chin and mouthed a command. Keep going. My voice trembled. I have a girlfriend. Don't contact me again. Su Yanran hurriedly said, No. I'll come to the Empire to find you. I could barely hold the phone. I knew if Su Yanran really came. Ji Wanqing suddenly laughed. That smile sent chills down my spine. Great. I'll be waiting for you. Ji Wanqing stared at Jiang Sheng, but the words were directed at Su Yanran. Good. Miss Jiu. Su Yanran's reply made Jiang Sheng shiver. I had never told Su Yanran about Ji Wanqing. How did she know? Su Yanran, don't come. She's a mad woman. I struggled to grab the phone. Ji Wanqing suddenly got up and smashed the phone against the wall. It shattered completely. She turned in frustration and walked to the window. Are you that afraid of her dying? Ji Wanqing's voice was filled with hunger and pain. I looked at her helplessly. Stop killing innocent people because of me. Innocent. Ji Wanqing sneered and turned. You really think she didn't know anything? I clenched my fist. I don't care what grudge you have. Just don't make it about me. Ji Wanqing laughed. We can get the marriage certificate first. I said firmly, impossible. I would never force myself. Ji Wanqing took out her phone and acted like she was dialing. I hurriedly grabbed her hand. Wait, let me think again. 10 seconds, Ji Wanqing began counting down. I closed my eyes in despair. I agree, I said, hearing that I was willing to marry her. Ji Wanqing trembled with excitement. She hugged me tightly, ignoring my struggle, and planted countless kisses on my face. Only after 10 whole minutes did she reluctantly let go and help me get dressed. Please don't carry your gun at your waist. She picked up my bag and dragged me out. On the way to the Civil Affairs Bureau, the Lamborghini sped wildly. At a red light, she kept kissing me, smiling more and more. An hour later, in front of the Civil Affairs Bureau, the newlyweds caught the attention of passers-by. The woman laughed like a lunatic, but the man remained expressionless. Ji Wanqing gently took the marriage certificate and said, Hubby, let's eat first. Then buy rings, okay? Without waiting for my reply, she dragged me along. She was as happy as a child. I couldn't be bothered with her. Nothing I said mattered anyway. It wasn't until she drove me home that night that Ji Wanqing became unhappy. Hubby, today is our wedding day. You should be with me. She held my hand and wouldn't let go. She gave me such a headache. Let me out of the car. My husband looks so handsome when he's angry. Ji Wanqing smiled dotingly. I couldn't believe she was the same person. I forcefully pried her hand away and dashed out of the car toward the Taoist temple. Ji Wanqing watched my back and laughed uncontrollably. She took out the marriage certificate and gently caressed it, sitting in the car for a long time before finally leaving the Jiu residence. In front of the villa, Butler Bai saw me. Tears of excitement streamed down his old face. Young master, you finally returned. I gave him a hug. Grandpa, don't cry. You should be happy that I'm back. Happy to see you, young master. The old man is overjoyed. Butler Bai quickly wiped his tears. He slapped his forehead. Young master. Mr. Yan and Mr. Wei are waiting for you in the living room. They said they couldn't reach you by phone, so they came to wait for you. I nodded. Grandpa Li, go ahead with your work. After speaking, I headed toward the villa. Butler Li hurried to the kitchen to prepare dinner, mumbling to himself that the young master had lost weight after these years abroad. When will master and madam return from the battlefield? I better send them a message quickly. If they come back and find out the young master left for abroad again, what then? In the living room, Wei Yan, in formal attire, was leaning on the sofa, resting with eyes closed. Yin Liang, legs crossed, was shouting angrily at his phone. The enemy jungler has ganked me 3 times. Why aren't you helping yet? The moment I walked in, that loud voice hurt my ears. I rubbed my ears and sat on the sofa across from them. Seeing me, Yin Liang stopped playing the game. He tossed his phone aside and came over. Why didn't you answer your phone? Was Jiyu Wanqing too intense? Wei Yin opened his eyes and looked at me too. Exhausted, I walked over to the wine cabinet and opened a bottle of red wine and drank straight from the bottle. As I tilted my head back, Wei Yan and Yan Liang clearly saw the love bites on my neck and hands. Yan Liang swallowed nervously. He whispered to Wei Yan, Jiyu Wanqing is this intense. She's a beast. Wei Yan didn't say anything. Seeing me open another bottle of wine, he quickly stepped forward to snatch it away. Just thinking of Jiyu Wanqing's behavior frustrates me. Wei Yan and Yan Liang started to realize something. How could anyone accept that? They initially thought the reason I didn't answer was because I had made up with Jiyu Wanqing. After all, when Yan Liang went to the hotel to pick her up, I didn't come downstairs, and there were no sounds of resistance over the phone. Yan Liang walked up to me. His expression was unusually serious. He placed both hands on my shoulders. His voice trembled slightly. Jiangsheng, is what Wei Yan said true? You didn't want this? I did. I blurted out I couldn't tell the truth. Wei Yan and Yan Liang had taken care of me like a real brother since we were kids. If they knew I was being forced into marriage, they'd definitely go fight Jiyu Wanqing to the death. But how could they possibly win against the Jiyu family? I don't want to drag anyone else into this. Wei Yan and Yan Liang exchanged glances. Their hearts sank. They knew me too well. This guy's tone always changes when he lies. But I never notice it myself. Yan Liang staggered back a couple of steps, leaning against the wine cabinet. He may mess around a lot, but it's whatever. But I can't. That bastard Jiyu Wanqing. Yan Liang grabbed a fruit knife from the coffee table and was about to storm out. I hurried to stop him. Don't be impulsive. I really agreed to this. Yan Liang dropped the knife. Sorry. Did I scare you, bro? Wei Yan tilted his head back and finished a glass of red wine, then immediately dialed his phone. Jiyu Wanqing, you better explain this to me. At that moment, the Jiyu family sisters were all sitting together. The ninth sister held up her phone on speaker, looking completely confused. Turns out, Jiyu Wanqing had just returned home and announced her marriage. Though surprised, the older sisters were happy. After all, the emotionally distant little sister finally found someone she loved, though the youngest Jiyu sister moved a bit too fast this time. Not even letting the two families meet, she already forced him to register the marriage. But it's okay. The rest can be handled by the older sisters and elders. Big sister Jiyu was in a great mood. She decided to cook personally, to make dinner and celebrate with her sisters. She had just entered the kitchen when a call came in from Wei Yan. Big sister Jiyu was curious why this future brother-in-law was calling so late. She casually pressed the speaker button, never expected to hear such explosive content. On the sofa, the second and third Jiyu sisters, along with Jiyu Yanbin, were drinking, when suddenly they heard Wei Yan cursing. They nearly choked on their wine. Only Jiyu Wanqing remained the calmest, sitting on the sofa across from them, lightly brushing her fingers over the photo on the marriage certificate. With a smile on her lips, Jiyu Wanru frowned and came out of the kitchen. Wiping her hands, she held back her temper and asked Wei Yan, what the hell is wrong with you? Why don't you ask your sister what great thing she did? I thought your Jiyu family wouldn't stoop to forcing people. Didn't expect your methods to be so dirty, so disgusting. Those words from Wei Yan were like a giant rock, hurled into a calm lake, stirring up 1,000 ripples, offending all the Jiyu sisters. Their faces instantly darkened. Jiyu Wanru was fuming. She clenched her teeth and spat her words in anger. Explain yourself clearly, Wei Yan. Before he could even finish, the call ended. The Jiyu sisters began to piece things together, silently speculating in their hearts. Could it be that the youngest sister stirred up this whole mess? The atmosphere inside the Jiyu family villa was equally heavy and tense. I rushed over and snatched Wei Yan's phone. Shut it off. Then spoke helplessly. I told you. I agreed to this. Stay out of this. Wei Yan and Yan Liang stared at me blankly, full of helplessness inside. In the end, they knew they were no match for the Jiyu family. Jiangsheng, I'll take you abroad right now, okay? That was the solution Wei Yan had thought about. He figured it was the best option. He wanted me to hide for a while, wait for Jiyu Wanqing to leave the country, then have Jiangsheng come back. After enough time passed, maybe even the Jiyu elders would gradually forget. Honestly, I had thought about this plan too. But I knew none of these plans would work on Jiyu Wanqing. She wouldn't let me go. Even if I escaped to the ends of the earth, she would still find me. And what would happen to the people who helped me then? I didn't dare make a sound, even if I have to run. I absolutely can't drag Wei Yan and Yan Liang into this. I can't go abroad. Today, I already registered my marriage with Jiyu Wanqing. Hearing this, Wei Yan and Yan Liang turned pale, standing there, trembling slightly, mouths open, but unable to utter a word. I went to the wine cabinet and took out 3 bottles of red wine, forced to smile as I handed them each a bottle. Let's not talk about anything else. Tonight, let's drink till we drop, okay? The 3 of us drank from indoors to outdoors, from inside the villa to outside. In the end, we were drunk and sitting on the bench in front of the villa gate. Just then, several supercars roared toward us and stopped right in front of us. Drunk as I was, I thought she was still abroad. I staggered to my feet and tried to run, which totally stunned Wei Yan and Yan Liang. A bit of alcohol is like plain water to them. Yan Liang grabbed my wrist and asked in confusion, "Why are you running? It's just a few women, are you really that scared?" I tried to pry his hand off. "You should run too. Terrorists are here. They're armed." Hearing that, Wei Yan finally couldn't help but burst into laughter. Yan Liang froze for a second, then laughed too. The so-called terrorists getting out of the supercars stopped in place. Their leader, Jiyu Wanqing, walked straight toward me and pulled me into a hug. Looking at me nervously, she softly asked, "Hubby, why did you drink so much?" As she spoke, she reached out to touch my face. I stepped back to paces, shaking my head hard to regain a sliver of sobriety. Once I confirmed the woman in front of me was Jiyu Wanqing, I was completely fed up. Why is she here again? Seeing Jiyu Wanqing, I turned around, wanting to leave. At that moment, Wei Yan slowly spoke, "Jiangsheng, there are no outsiders here. Tell them how you really feel." As soon as he said that, everyone turned their gaze to me. Wei Yan looked at me and said, "Say it. I want to see how the Jiyu family plans to handle this and still live respectably in this world." This was also the reason why Wei Yan called Jiyu Wanru. He wanted to find someone who could temporarily suppress Jiyu Wanqing. That person was undoubtedly the eldest sister of the Jiyu family, Jiyu Wanru. If even Jiyu Wanru knew the whole truth and still couldn't control her younger sister, then it would only be harder for Jiangsheng to escape Jiyu Wanqing. Things would only become more difficult. Now, Wei Yan wanted to test the attitude of the Jiyu family. If this route didn't work, he would think of another way. Naturally, I didn't disappoint Wei Yan. I clenched my fist, lifted my head, and shouted at the woman in the distance, "Jiyu Wanqing, I don't love you, and I don't want to marry you. Please let me go. Stop using other people's lives to threaten me." Okay. Upon hearing this, the faces of all 9 Jiyu sisters turned completely grim. They now fully understood. The youngest sister had forced Mr. Jiang to register the marriage. Clearly, he had absolutely no desire to be with her. Jiyu Wanqing strode up to me, lowered her head, and looked at me gently. "Jiangsheng, you're drunk. Tell me again after you've sobered up tomorrow." Once again being threatened, my eyes filled with hatred. I stared at her. "I'm completely sober now. I don't want to be manipulated by you anymore. I don't want to suffer anymore either." Jiyu Wanqing, now completely enraged. Her eyes had already turned red at the corners. A cruel smile appeared at the corner of her lips. "Fine. Then I don't mind waking you up a bit more." With that, she pulled out her phone from her pocket, unlocked it, and held the screen up in front of me. Seeing the injured person on the screen, my breath caught instantly. I reached out to grab the phone, but Jiyu Wanqing held it tightly. "Are you awake now?" the woman asked, sending chills down my spine. All the strength in my body drained in that moment. I collapsed to my knees, weak and powerless. Wei Yan and Yan Liang saw this and hurriedly stood up, trying to rush over to help me, but they were stopped by Jiyu Wanru and Jiyu Zhu, not allowing them to take even a step closer to me. Jiyu Wanqing pulled me into her arms, her large hand continuously stroking my back. But even so, she still stubbornly asked, "Are you awake now? Jiangsheng, tell me, are you sober now?" My knuckles turned white from clenching my fist. I raised my head and looked at her. "You promise me, Jiyu Wanqing, you promise me that you wouldn't hurt innocent people again. Why did you break your vow?" But before I finished speaking, Jiyu Wanqing lowered her head and looked at me. The pain in her eyes was about to overflow. Her voice was low and hoarse. What about me? Jiangsheng, what about me? You protect everyone around you. Even those you've only met once. You never hesitate to show kindness. Why is it so easy for everyone else, but I can never reach it? Jiangsheng, is it really that hard to be with me? The 9 Jiu sisters saw how heartbroken their youngest sister was, and couldn't help but clench their fist. If their brother-in-law truly refused to be with Wanqing as her sisters, were they supposed to just stand by and watch their sister go mad? I didn't want to answer Jiu Wanqing's question at all. My mind was filled with Su Yanren's gunshot wound. In the video, it looked like she staggered after being shot. As long as she's okay, I hope she doesn't come looking for me. Jiu Wanqing clearly noticed the worry and relief in my eyes, so much that her whole body shook. It's so cold. Her body really is so cold. Jiu Wanqing's cold face turned pale. Cold sweat broke out on her forehead. Jiangsheng, do you like her? Everyone present waited for my answer. But faced with this question, do I even have another choice? To tell Jiu Wanqing that I like Su Yanren? Come on, wouldn't that just put Su Yanren in danger? I did like her a little, but it was such a tiny bit of feeling. 2 seconds after Jiu Wanqing asked me, I gave her a reply. No, I don't like her. Upon hearing that, all 9 of the Jiu sisters secretly let out a sigh of relief. Good thing brother-in-law doesn't like her. If he really liked another woman, the little sister would have torn the heavens apart. However, Jiu Wanqing suddenly pushed me away and burst into loud laughter. Ha ha ha, don't like her. After laughing, she bent forward slightly, holding her chest with one hand. Blood spilled from her mouth as she coughed, dripping from the corner of her lips onto the floor. Seeing Jiu Wanqing cough up blood sent Jiu Wanru into full panic mode. She rushed to her side, trying to get her to a hospital, but was shoved aside by Jiu Wanqing. At that moment, in her eyes, there was no one but me. She grabbed my hand and led me toward the sports car. Wei Yan and Yan Liang rushed over to stop her. Yan Liang grabbed my wrist, trying to help me break free. But the next second, Jiu Wanqing kicked him away. Jiu Zhu ran over to help Yan Liang up from the ground. Seeing him holding his stomach and pale-faced, her face was burning with rage. Meanwhile, Wei Yan had already been pulled aside by Jiu Wanru. The moment Yan Liang was kicked down, I was completely furious, yet I still couldn't break free from her grip. Maybe I drank too much tonight. Without thinking, I bit down with my mouth. My sharp teeth sank into Jiu Wanqing's arm, breaking the skin. But I didn't stop. It was like I wouldn't stop until I bit through her veins. Little did I know, this act of revenge was strangely satisfying to Jiu Wanqing. She stood in front of the sports car, looking down at the bite on her hand. Her cold, elegant face twisted into a sick smile. The sight of it scared Wei Yan out of his mind. Even Jiu Wanru and the other sisters frowned at the sight of the blood. Jiu Wanqing looked down at me and used her other hand to gently pat my head. That's when I realized something was very wrong. I let go of her arm, but when I looked into her eyes, I was too shocked to speak. She's a lunatic. Jiu Wanqing is a lunatic. Seeing me let go, Jiu Wanqing brought her hand back to my mouth, signaling me to continue. I was a bit scared and tried to move away. Jiu Wanqing smiled and pulled me into the car and drove off. I didn't even bother resisting anymore. Every time I fight back, someone around me ends up hurt. On the road, I leaned back with my eyes closed, out of sight, out of mind. But I couldn't ignore her constantly staring at me. Soon after, the car stopped in a completely deserted place. It came to a stop. The moment the car stopped, I opened my eyes and reached for my seatbelt to get out. But when I saw the pitch black outside the window, I turned my head and asked Jiu Wanqing, "What do you mean by this?" The woman was taking out bandages and disinfectant to treat the wound on her hand. She glanced at me and smirked. Take a guess. I couldn't be bothered to respond. I unbuckled my seatbelt and tried to open the door, only to realize this lunatic had locked it. For a moment, neither of us said a word in the car. I figured silence was better. Speaking would only lead to a fight. After a few minutes, I started to doze off. I was so exhausted these past few days and drank way too much tonight. Sleepiness hit me hard. I adjusted my posture and fell asleep in the seat, turning my back to Ji Wanqing. But just after I drifted off, Ji Wanqing woke me up again. Jiangsheng, pass me my phone. I ignored her, but then I heard that threatening tone again. If you don't help me, I'll kill your good friends. Oh right, and those sweethearts of yours abroad too. They're not getting away either. Furious, I sat up straight in an instant and glared at her. Are you insane, Ji Wanqing? Will you die if you don't threaten me? Ji Wanqing, who was being yelled at, just smiled and nodded. Yeah, I'm insane. It felt like I was punching cotton. There was just no way to deal with her. I asked irritably, where is it? She closed her eyes again and lazily said, it's on me. Find it yourself. I was going to be driven mad by her. I clenched my teeth and leaned over, reached into the right pocket, found the phone, and quickly pulled it out. But in the next second, she opened her eyes and pulled me into her arms, dragging my whole body against her. So fast I didn't even have time to scream. Before she sealed my mouth, that kiss, like everything she does, was domineering and forceful. There was no room for refusal. The next noon, the sports car stopped in front of a private villa. She got out and opened the passenger door, dragging me into the villa. Woken up again, I was so angry I nearly lost it. Ji Wanqing, you're a real lunatic. Was I cursed in a past life to have run into you in this one? After getting out of the car, I went to shower and sleep again. At 2 p.m., I was sleeping soundly. The phone rang again and again. It was so noisy I was about to go crazy. Ji Wanqing beside me had actually woken up long ago. During the time we were separated, she barely slept more than 2 or 3 hours a day and couldn't fall asleep again. Now, holding me, she could finally sleep, but she didn't dare sleep too long, afraid it would all turn out to be just a dream. When she woke up just now, she only relaxed after confirming I was in her arms. She wanted to wake me, but couldn't bear to. The phone rang, but Ji Wanqing didn't answer. She just wanted to see me get annoyed. Just like when we were deeply in love. After I got woken up, I smacked her on the head, angrily muttering about how noisy the phone was. If it had been someone else bothering Ji Wanqing, they'd probably be dead by now. Since she was little, no one dared to even touch a hair on her head. Ji Wanqing smiled gently and said, okay, then hubby, wake up too. Someone's coming over soon. She got out of bed and picked up the phone from the sofa. She answered, spoke briefly, and hung up. After we went downstairs, Ji Wanqing went into the kitchen to cook for me. But after a short while, she came out again and asked, hubby, what do you want to eat? I was eating an apple from the coffee table at the time. Without even turning to look at her, my mouth was full of sweetness, and I mumbled, I want fried chicken. Ji Wanqing frowned. She didn't look at the apple in my hand. It just felt like an eyesore to her. I acted disappointed, and then said with a troubled face, no fried chicken. Then I want hot pot. Hot pot. Ji Wanqing definitely can't make that. Back when we lived abroad, she never let me eat that stuff because of my weak stomach, so she strictly controlled my diet. I've been so repressed these days. I needed to make things difficult for her too. Sure enough, the moment I mentioned hot pot, Ji Wanqing's face turned dark. She squeezed out the words through gritted teeth, don't have. I almost burst out laughing, struggled to hold back a smile, and turned my head to the side, pretending to be calm. Then let's have spicy boiled pork slices. Don't tell me you don't have that either. After I said that, I took a bite of the apple in my hand. If I didn't eat something now, I might laugh to death. But the next second, Ji Wanqing, still fuming, strode over and snatched the apple from my hand. She casually tossed it onto the coffee table, then leaned in, hands on either side of my head on the sofa. She smiled down at me. Looks like you're not hungry after all, hubby. If you're not hungry, then feed me first. I shrank back and quickly said, noodles. Ji Wanqing raised her brows. Won't that be too pitiful for you? I didn't dare joke around anymore. Quickly shook my head and explained, not at all. I really want to eat your noodles. Hearing that, Ji Wanqing's expression eased up. She patted my head, then stood up and walked toward the kitchen. After she left, I finally let out a sigh of relief on the sofa. This was the unspoken ordering routine we had when we were still together. If I dared disobey just now, I'd probably end up with another all-day bed session. Even a robot couldn't handle that, let alone a human being. Ji Wanqing cooked quickly. The noodles were done in 10 minutes or so. She came out carrying a bowl of noodles, chopsticks in one hand, soup spoon in the other. She placed them on the dining table and waved at me. I went over to the table, picked up the chopsticks and started eating. After just one bite, my eyes squinted from joy. It was delicious. Ever since I left Ji Wanqing, I hadn't eaten anything so tasty. Ji Wanqing came over, pulled out a chair, and sat beside me, seeing me still enjoying her noodles. Her heart ached a little. After I left her, she couldn't sleep well. Even eating was a huge problem. At its worst, she would vomit right after eating. So she could only cook the food I liked, and always made to servings, convincing herself that I never left. Over time, the dishes I loved the most, she became better and better at cooking. I was completely immersed in the food, ignoring the burning gaze from someone nearby. I knew Ji Wanqing loved me deeply. She loved me as if I were the center of her world. She wished she could give me her whole heart. But we simply weren't from the same world. Like how Ji Wanqing enjoys killing people, something I just can't accept. When she goes crazy, she doesn't even spare innocent people. I can't accept that either, and I can't accept that she demands my eyes always be on her. Only on her. I once naively thought I could change her, but I realized that was just wishful thinking. No matter how much Ji Wanqing loves me, her twisted nature will never change. Not even a little. Ji Wanqing had no idea what I was thinking at that moment. She asked me, "Why aren't you eating? Are you feeling unwell?" I shook my head gently and continued eating noodles. Just then, Ji Wanru and Ji Yuzu entered the villa with a middle-aged woman. They pushed open the front door and slowly walked inside. They saw me eating noodles and sat on the sofa waiting. I glanced at them briefly, then turned to Ji Wanqing beside me. "You go handle it. I'm fine here eating by myself." No rush. Ji Wanqing didn't move. She wasn't in a hurry, but I was. Having several women stare at me while eating is really not my thing, so I nudged her leg with my foot. Strong as she was, Ji Wanqing had no choice but to obey. She got up, walked behind me, and patted my head. Only then did she walk to the sofa. As soon as she sat down, the middle-aged person handed her the lie detector. Ji Wanqing didn't ask much. She took it and put it on her wrist. After seeing psychologists all year, she was already familiar with the procedure. The middle-aged woman turned on the monitor. She glanced at me eating noodles. She asked hesitantly, "Miss Jiu, shall we begin? Shall we start now?" Ji Wanqing nodded. She said, "Start." I kept eating noodles. I was full of confusion, not understanding what they were doing. "Do you like killing people?" the woman asked. Ji Wanqing nodded. She said, "Yes." The detector stayed silent, meaning she wasn't lying. Only then did the woman get to the point. "Have you thought about killing relatives?" "Yes." The detector stayed quiet. "Parents, siblings, even your husband, right?" "Yes," Ji Wanqing replied. Everyone in the room was stunned. Ji Wanru and Ji Yuzu looked extremely grim. Not because their sister wanted to kill them, but because she even wanted to kill her brother-in-law. Their sister's condition was clearly worsening. Even I, eating noodles, was dumbfounded. Now I had to believe Ji Wanqing really was ill. She actually wanted to kill even her parents and siblings. That was beyond outrageous. The middle-aged woman was sweating all over her forehead. She knew Ji Wanqing was seriously ill, but not this severely. She had lost the last bit of humanity. But she had no choice. She had to keep going. "Have you ever had the thought of not killing?" "No," Ji Wanqing had just answered, when the lie detector let out a piercing screech. Ji Wanru and Ji Yuzu finally showed a hint of joy. Even the middle-aged woman got excited. "Looks like Miss Jiu is still salvageable. At least there were moments she didn't want to kill. As long as we keep asking and guide her properly, Miss Gu's condition will definitely improve." The middle-aged woman suppressed her excitement and urgently asked Ji Wanqing, "Miss Jiu, think carefully again. When did you not feel the urge to kill?" At the moment the lie detector reacted, Ji Wanqing herself was briefly stunned. Now she had figured it out. When did she not want to kill? The corner of her mouth lifted. She answered, when I'm making love to Jiang Cheng. The lie detector was silent, but everyone was dumbstruck. What kind of outrageous answer was that? I was drinking milk and spat it out when I heard that. Everyone turned to look at me. I wanted nothing more than to disappear. Embarrassed, I grabbed a napkin and wiped my mouth, then lowered my head, ready to run upstairs. Damn it, if I can't fight her, I can at least flee. Ji Wanqing's smile only grew wider. She looked at me trying to escape and said, "You're not allowed to go upstairs. Come to me." Next to her, Ji Wanru and Ji Yuzu couldn't help but twitch their lips. Now their sister wasn't just mentally ill. She was a total love-struck maniac. Clearly, I had no intention of obeying Ji Wanqing. Since I'd been exposed, what was the point of staying? I took a step, but then Ji Wanqing's voice rang out. When Jiang Sheng is by my side, I don't really feel like killing. The lie detector stayed silent. Then, the three women's voices followed. Brother-in-law. Little madam, this is bad. I had no escape. Ji Wanqing had blocked every route. The mad woman looked at me, patted the spot beside her, and said, "Hubby, come here or I'll start acting up." Ji Wanru and Ji Yuzu watched me nervously. I reluctantly walked over and sat beside Ji Wanqing. That conversation went on for a full half hour. I was completely numb from the shock, and the more I listened, the crazier it got. But now I could finally be sure. Ji Wanqing is truly a full-blown lunatic. What an extreme woman. And I had to be the one to run into her. The shirt on the middle-aged woman was soaked in cold sweat. She silently took out her phone and walked out. She needed to call her mentor abroad. Miss Gu's condition was truly beyond her ability. They needed to bring in experts. Ji Wanru and her sister looked mentally drained. They slumped on the couch, watching Ji Wanqing. They opened their mouths, but said nothing. Ji Wanqing acted as if she didn't notice. She held my hand, kissed it repeatedly, and said, "Let's go." Ji Yuzu stood up. Ji Wanru rubbed her temples. She also stood up and looked at me. Her tone was calm and rational. "Brother-in-law, come back to the old house tonight." I nodded and replied, "Okay." Once they got my answer, the sisters Ji Wanru and Ji Yuzu left, and once again, the living room was empty. Just me and Ji Wanqing, facing her gaze, like she wanted to devour me whole. So intense and alive. I was completely on edge. I looked at her and said, "I need to go to the bathroom." Ji Wanqing's eyes darkened. "How long?" I thought for a second. 5 minutes. Ji Wanqing smiled. "You get to minutes." To damn minutes? Even going to the bathroom had to be timed by her. I quickly shook my head. "No. 5 minutes." Ji Wanqing stared at me, her hand gently brushing against my lips. Her fingertip pressed again and again. "To minutes. If you don't agree, then don't go." Just as she finished, she began to lean in toward me. I didn't dare bargain anymore. I quickly said, "Fine. 2 minutes." Satisfied, Ji Wanqing finally let go of me. The moment she released me, I jumped to my feet and bolted toward the bathroom like my life depended on it. Oh God, what am I going to do? Can someone please take this lunatic away? Does she not have anything else on her mind? I ran to the bathroom, shut the door, and locked it. Only then did I sit on the toilet lid. I need to think about what to do next. Seems like I can't run away. Do I really have to spend my life with her? She does treat me well, but being around her is just as suffocating. Maybe I should just go along for now and wait until Ji Wanqing gets tired of me to divorce. She probably thinks I don't love her, that I'm not obsessed with her. That's probably why she sees it as a challenge. If I comply with everything she wants, maybe over time she'd get bored of me. I was brainstorming in the bathroom. Meanwhile, the woman on the living room couch was also deep in thought. Ji Wanqing's handsome face was clouded with conflict. Her man was always trying to avoid her. Even the bathroom excuse was just another lie. Whenever he lies, his lips tremble. And they were trembling badly earlier. Ji Wanqing stood up and walked toward the bathroom door. She reached out and knocked gently. "Don't worry, I'm not here to rush you." Hearing she wasn't here to drag me out, I let out a small sigh of relief. Then, her raspy voice came again from outside the door. "Jiang Cheng, don't lie to me anymore, okay?" I stared at the door, wanting to say okay, but this time, I couldn't get the words out. How could I promise never to lie to her? These past few days with Ji Wanqing, it's all been lies. Jiangsheng, give me 2 years. If after 2 years, you still don't like me, if you hate me and want to leave, I'll let you go. All right. As she said this, the woman outside the door seemed unsteady on her feet. She leaned against the door. Her breathing grew more rapid. Even so, Ji Wanqing continued, the things you don't like. If I said I'd 100% change them, 100% stop doing them, that would be a lie. I don't want to lie to you. I truly want to change. What you like in the future, I'll embrace, and what you hate, I'll give up, Jiangsheng. Can you give me a chance? I got up and walked to the door. I reached out to unlock it, but I didn't push it open right away. I admit her words made my mind a mess. Those words were once what I longed for in my dreams. But now, times have changed. The love from the past can't just come back instantly. During the time we were apart, I moved forward, but Ji Wanqing remained in the same place, waiting. Time passed in silence as I said nothing. Suddenly, she yanked the door open from outside. Ji Wanqing stepped forward and held me tightly. Her voice full of pleading. I won't ask anymore. I won't ask you to give me an answer. Jiangsheng, call the police. I'll call them now. I held her, and neither of us spoke another word. At that moment, silence spoke louder than words. Just then, the sound of hurried footsteps came in. Ji Wanqing quickly pushed me gently away from her embrace. Her beautiful face seemed covered with frost. She looked down at me and seriously instructed, lock the door. No matter what you hear, don't come out. Before I could reply, she walked out and locked the door from the outside. After Ji Wanqing left, I was filled with worry. Why would this idiot lock me inside? Did one of her enemies come to take revenge? If my phone wasn't broken, maybe I could still call for help, but there's no use thinking about it now. I just hope nothing happens to Ji Wanqing. At that moment, a blonde woman sat on the living room sofa. Behind her stood 8 burly men in tactical uniforms. All of them had guns strapped to their chest. In such a tense scene, Ji Wanqing walked over without hesitation. As she approached, the 8 men in combat gear all loaded their guns. But stocks pressed firmly, aiming right at her. Unfortunately, Ji Wanqing didn't care at all. She sat on the sofa opposite the blonde woman. Ji Wanqing glanced at her coldly. With a detached tone, you came pretty fast. Su Yanren straightened up and looked at her. Smiling slightly, I didn't dare be slow. Otherwise, my man might get stolen by you. Upon hearing this, Ji Wanqing let out a cold laugh. A murderous glint filled her eyes. If it weren't for Miss Jiu interfering, she had already agreed to be my boyfriend. Su Yanren responded with a smile. Ji Wanqing looked at her meaningfully. You really are something. The first one to beg for death. Su Yanren kept smiling. Her eyes glanced toward the bathroom. She waved her hand. Her subordinates took the hint and moved in that direction. But just then, the villa door was kicked open by a group of men in black. Each of them also held a gun. They rushed in and surrounded Su Yanren and her men. Su Yanren was locked under multiple scopes, but remained unfazed. Su Yanren looked toward Ji Wanqing and said almost sentimentally, Jiangsheng is my man. As soon as she said that, Ji Wanqing's subordinates didn't dare to breathe. Not breathing was the right move. Ji Wanqing was nearly fuming with rage. She quickly pulled out a pistol from her back, aimed it straight at Su Yanren's head. Seeing this, Su Yanren's men, who had already aimed at Ji Wanqing, were just about to pull their triggers. Tension rose sharply between both sides. A violent clash was about to erupt. Su Yanren made a hand gesture, signaling her men to stay still. Her subordinates didn't dare move a muscle, but Ji Wanqing didn't care at all. A gunshot suddenly rang out. The bullet whizzed past Su Yanren's side. Su Yanren still looked as calm as ever. Her tone didn't waver. Miss Jiu, then let's speak frankly. If you don't want trouble on your turf, I advise you not to mess with me. After all, what I mean is, what you'll lose isn't just a matter of sisterhood emotions. The entire Liang Kingdom. Miss Jiu, you'll no longer have pricing dominance. What do you think, Miss Jiu? Ji Wanqing looked at her coldly and lowered her gun. I really underestimated you. Last night, Ji Wanqing found out. Su Yanran is the rumored illegitimate daughter of the M Nation mafia boss. She was unwanted as a child, and within just 1 year of adulthood, she built a force powerful enough to even make royalty wary of her. Originally, this had nothing to do with Ji Wanqing, but somehow, it became entangled with her man. Otherwise, Ji Wanqing wouldn't have sent people to kill Su Yanran yesterday. After our breakup, I had just arrived at the town of Manhwa. While out painting one day, I was spotted by Su Yanran, who had just wiped out all her enemies. She quickly found out where I lived and became my landlord, trying to get close to me every day. As for how our relationship developed, there's no way to trace it now. Even if we could, so what? Ji Wanqing wasn't blind. She noticed her man seemed fond of Su Yanran, but Ji Wanqing could overlook that. To be blunt, even if they got married, Ji Wanqing wouldn't care. To put it harshly, forget talking with him. Even if they got married, Ji Wanqing wouldn't bat an eye. Back when Ji Wanqing couldn't find me, Su Yanran was just playing the loyal dog. Now she's here threatening me, clearly trying to leverage foreign mafia power to invade Ji Wanqing's domain. This side of the world, when Su Yanran heard she was underestimated, she just shook her head nonchalantly. I was the one who underestimated you, Miss Ji. You even managed to get reinforcements, despite me jamming all nearby signals. Ji Wanqing was still in the mood to mock her. With an annoyed expression, you're not taking him. Get lost or die. Your choice. Su Yanran stared at her. Miss Ji, you still don't understand what I mean. I'm taking Jiangshan with me today no matter what. If you don't believe me, let me show you something. As she spoke, she pulled out a small black remote control. Her finger pressed the topmost button. Suddenly, a loud bang was heard outside the villa. Thick smoke billowed into the sky. Ji Wanqing wasn't shocked, just a little surprised. It was a newly developed Xingxing weapon from Liang, similar to a bomb, but thousands of times more compact and portable. The sound just now was minimal, likely because Su Yanran only used less than 10 milliliters. Otherwise, this entire area might have been turned to ash. Ji Wanqing could not have mistaken that sound. She had tested that weapon herself in the Dark Nation when it launched. Seeing Ji Wanqing silent, Su Yanran remained calm. She spoke again. Miss Ji, you better consider it. Otherwise, soon, your two elder sisters might just go up in smoke with another bang. While she talked, she theatrically mimicked an explosion with her right hand. Whether it was her ridiculous gesture or the absurdity of the threat, Ji Wanqing actually laughed. With scornful disdain in her tone, she sneered, why wait? Go ahead and blow them to ash right now. Let's see it. Hearing this, Su Yanran's face darkened. This was supposed to be her final trump card to threaten Ji Wanqing, but it wasn't working. As expected, this woman was unbelievably difficult. She couldn't afford to keep wasting time on her. Otherwise, the situation would only turn worse. Su Yanran shouted toward the bathroom, darling. I came to see you. Are you still going to hide from me? If you don't come out, she's really going to kill me. The word darling was a direct hit to Ji Wanqing's soft spot. She could be calm about anything, except matters involving me. To hell with territory, or turf, or whatever crap. Right now, Ji Wanqing was determined to kill Su Yanran. She raised her gun, ready to blow her head off when several helicopters hovered above the villa. Ropes dropped from the sky. The armed operatives descended holding guns. They broke through the bathroom window directly. That really scared me. I couldn't hear what Ji Wanqing and the others were saying. I only heard Su Yanran calling me to come out. And then, just like that, these guys smashed the window from outside. I couldn't let myself get captured in my sleep. This world is truly upside down. I hardly recognize it. Ji Wanqing in the living room naturally heard the sound of the window breaking. Without hesitation, she rushed over to find me. Just as I was rushing out, Ji Wanqing grabbed my hand with her left hand and opened fire at the people in the bathroom with her right. Her shooting was incredibly fast. Before they could even aim, each was shot in the head, one by one. In just a few seconds, all of them lay dead in a pool of blood. After finishing them off, Ji Wanqing quickly called the police. Just then, I heard a familiar voice, "Darling. Did you miss me?" I turned toward the voice and saw Su Yanran sitting on the couch. She pursed her lips slightly. "I told you not to come looking for me." Su Yanran's eyes shimmered with ripples. She smiled and replied, "I missed you." Hearing such a direct statement, I froze for a moment before I could react. The affectionate woman took a few steps forward, blocking her line of sight completely. Jiu Wanqing looked down at me, her eyes blazing with fury. Through gritted teeth, she growled, "Jiangshun, do you think I'm dead or something?" Then she suddenly turned around and fired a shot at the woman sitting on the couch. A loud bang rang out. My heart trembled involuntarily.